Hari Om. Sahana Bhavato Sahanau Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. As the race develops right emotional control, we shall see the gradual disappearance of the phenomenon of cancer. This is what yesterday we have studied. Emotional control. When the human race develops more emotional control, then gradual disappearance of phenomenon of cancer we can attain. This is very important for us to remember. So how can, what is the real prophylaxis for cancer according to this is control, emotional control. Because why human race more people are suffering from cancer is because of the increase of emotional behavior. In our daily transactions, in our daily life, the emotional disturbance is the prime cause for the increase of the disease cancer. Then we may get when we read this statement, we may get a question that now why even in children also we find patients with cancer? The same answer. Children also you can see, even very little child also how behaves emotionally disturbed. This is because of the inheritance from the parents. Actually, as a child should be free of this disturbance and should be free mentally and happy. But in the present human generations, right from the childhood, there is a disturbance of mental and emotional levels. Now you can observe the children. At one time, only the grown-up people, elderly people, adults only were highly disturbed. But now it's the children, how the children were behaving. You can identify the effect, the miasmatic character even in children very easily. When you observe few children, and in these children when you deeply observe them, you can identify the characteristics in children. Sometimes you find a child who behaves very aristocratic with other children, who wants to control the other children, who feels very aristocratic. So such behavior shows the inheritance of deep sorrow, the miasm sorrow. The children, such children, they cannot be, because they feel their separatedness, their highness, and so for them, so even from childhood such feeling is there. That means they have inherited advanced degree of miasm. You find some children who are very dangerous. Dangerous means, suppose the children are playing, you find one child calmly, very silently throws the other child or hurts the other child, pulls the other child, for example, and if other child is injured also, he enjoys this child. So this is also a miasmatic behavior. Disease of the tubercular miasm, enjoying by others' suffering. If you enjoy while the other person is suffering, and moreover you increase the suffering and enjoy, so this is an example of an expression of the tubercular miasm. The sadistic behavior. Sadistic behavior. And some other child you observe, when they are playing, then all the other children, for example, you are distributing some fruits or some biscuits or something, all the children will rush, and mostly the psychotic tubercular children will, the psychotic and tubercular children will be on the front, pushing the others. But how the syphilitic child will behave? He will stand behind. He has no confidence. He has fear. So he cannot come forward, this child, and weeps. And he wants to have, but he has no courage, so lags behind, and he suffers, he weeps. So this is the behavior of the child who has inherited syphilitic miasm, a syphilitic behavior. Lack of confidence, fear. So like this, in children also you can easily identify these different types of behaviors which reflect inheritance of the miasms. So, as the race develops right emotional control, we shall see the gradual disappearance of the phenomenon of cancer. I said right emotional control. Emotional control is not just suppression, but right control of the emotion. As other day I explained, you have to make a sublimation, not suppression. Suppression is different from sublimation. If you suppress your feeling, it will be more dangerous. So I said right emotional control, inhibition and the suppression of the desire impulses by force of the will is not right control. Inhibition and suppression of the desire impulses by force of the will is not right control. So it's not by force, it should be natural. There should be neutralization. Control means here, make them disappear, but not to force to put under pressure. It is interesting also to note that though both men and women suffer from the disease of cancer, the general cause is not identical, though the basic cause remains the same. What is the basic cause? It is reaction from an over-expression of sex life. Reaction from over-expression of sex life, that is the basic cause, through the cultivation of the desired nature. Once again I will read. It is interesting also to note that though both men and women suffer from the disease of cancer, the general cause is not identical, though the basic cause remains the same. The basic cause is reaction from an over-expression of sex life. This is common in both men and women. Women, owing to the risks they run in childbearing, through the turning of the life emphasis to the sex aspect of life, have revolted on a large scale against this form of life expression. And it is along this line, the sex line, that their major inhibitions are found. So it is very deep aspect he is explaining. It is through a long time, because here in the brackets he indicated that as the Atlanteans did. This is how it happened with the Atlanteans. Women, owing to the risk they run in childbearing, through the turning of the life emphasis to the sex aspect of life, have revolted on a large scale against this form of expression, and it is along this line, the sex line, that their major inhibitions are found. They do not suffer so much from the general inhibition of the emotional desire feeling expression. Men do suffer from this latter inhibition and have a tradition or a marked tendency to greater emotional control in the handling of life than have women. Men do not require or acquire so marked a sex control. Men do not require or acquire so marked a sex control. The general field of their inhibited life tendency is therefore of greater extent, and consequently more men suffer from cancer than do women. This page is 60 to 61. Page number 60 to 61. Because this is this sexual desire. So sex as a need and sex as a desire, this we have to these are two things which we have to differentiate. Sex as a need is common in animal kingdom and human kingdom. But sex as a desire, that is not common in animal kingdom, that is very common in human kingdom. That is the difference. Why it is so is because of the desire nature, which is steered by the emotion. That is the reason. So this aspect, this desire, sexual desire, that governs the thinking and the logic of the human being. That leads to the abnormal behavior of the human being regarding the aspect of sex. Because the aspect of sex is like the other aspects of life, it's natural, and because nature knows when to teach us and how to teach us. Just like you see when you observe the animals and birds, it's quite natural. Only when they reach that particular time, that particular age or biological changes, then only they use this. Because they don't require any schools to teach about sex, like the human beings. It is stupid, the human beings. What is natural? Where is the need to specially to teach about this? Ridiculous. When there is no need for other kingdoms like animals and birds and this, for the human fellow who is more evolved, what is the need? So it is the stupidity. Because nature makes us, enables us. When it is time, then automatically nature gives this understanding and these things. Because of the wrong attitude of the human being, now even from child age also they are getting into this sexual desires and this type of emotions. That shows that a great ill balance in the human race. It leads to misuse of this. That's what you see. It is abnormal. Now it is more and more increasing because of the intensification of the miasmatic conditions through inheritance. I tell you, there was an incident. This was told to me by one of our colleagues in Belgium. This Sriman, you know, he told me, This incident he has seen in one of the ashram in the north, in Kashmir. There is in that ashram, the Swamiji, he was a great yogi. He happened to see children playing, and children of 7 years age, they are trying to make sexual act. And then he called the parents of these children, and then he asked the father and mother, during the pregnancy of this child, you have made sexual act frequently, isn't it? They said, yeah, yes. See now what is happening because of this. Because of your stupid act, your child has inherited this, and they are trying to do from this age which is not natural. According to the science of hygiene and the ancient sciences of health and hygiene, during pregnancy you are not expected to make sexual act. No animals will do it. When the cow is pregnant, either the cow or the bull will try to make such things. Only human beings, because they have no discrimination. Discrimination is getting destroyed more and more in the human race. For any act. Yes, that is what I am telling. Yes, that education, it is not education at all. It is wrongly called education. So, what is not required for the animals and birds, human fellows, to satisfy their desire, they call this education. But what is the result? This is what is happening. During pregnancy, no other animal will do this act except the human fellow. And the result, what happens is, this result is manifested on the developing child. There are so many things which disturb the health of the child because of the stupid behavior of the parents. For example, when you have a child, at least 1 year or 1.5 years before that, when the parents have a sexual intercourse, they should not touch the child before they have a shower. If they have intercourse, they have to take a shower immediately. Without this, if they touch the child is astrally disturbed. On the astral level, the child is disturbed, and this disturbance continues for a long time and disturbs the health of the child. That is why children are made susceptible to so much types of infections. This is not at all understood by the medical science. And not accepted also, because they don't have all this proper education. So this misuse of this aspect, this sex, it reflects in so many dimensions to distort the normal functioning of the vital force, and it distorts the emotional plane of the person. So it leads to such results like in disturbance in cancer and all these things. So discrimination is most important to to know what is more important, what is less important, and need or desire and all these things. Why today you find very abnormal behaviors in the human race regarding sex? Nymphomania. You know what it is? Trying to make sexual intercourse with children. That is very dirty thing. That is more everywhere increasing. This is abnormal behavior. It is a disease. Nymphomania. Exaggerated sexual desire, but when it is more, without discretion. This is a behavior without discrimination, without discretion. That is nymphomaniac. This nymphomania, when it is increased, it will lead to such behavior. So that is ill balance, and this leads the person, because the discrimination is destroyed, so such person will not hesitate to go to any extent. So pedophilia. It leads to pedophilia. So this type of behavior is also due to the effect of psora and tuberculosis miasms. Psora and tuberculosis miasms. Here, the cause for this is dissatisfaction. The dissatisfaction. It is just like, for example, when you have something very tasty, and if you eat and then greedily you start eating because it is very tasty, the same thing with sex also. So dissatisfaction. When this leads further, when it is increased, enhanced, this leads further to a tendency of polygamy, because there is always a craving for variety. Because we come across such persons who come for treatment. They do not come for treatment for this. They come for treatment for some other ailments. But we found by interrogation, by observing these tendencies. There was one fellow who was an engineer. So he may be an engineer, he may be a lawyer, he may be a doctor, he may be, it makes no difference when he is influenced by this miasmatic condition. He was working an engineer, So he came for treatment.